My wife wanted an open relationship, but she regretted it when her sister took an interest in me. I've been married to my wife, a 33-year-old woman, for almost 8 years. We've been together for about 10 years, give or take. We have 2 incredible daughters, one 7 and the other 5. Honestly, I thought everything was pretty solid. Sure, we weren't in the honeymoon phase anymore. Who is after so many years and 2 kids, right? We had a normal marriage. We'd bicker over silly things like me leaving my work boots in the living room or her spending too much on Amazon. But nothing serious. I work in construction management. I started as a regular laborer but got promoted and now earn a good salary. She, on the other hand, has a corporate job that she seems to enjoy. We bought a house 3 years ago, the girls go to and from school, and we even adopted a dog last year. Basically, we were living the typical American dream, you know? But looking back, I think I should have noticed a couple of things. Lately, she'd been acting different. More relaxed, suddenly happier, more engaged with her work. Before, she'd just complain about her job like everyone else. Useless meetings, annoying coworkers, the usual. But recently, she started talking about her work like it was exciting. And then there was Fernando, her boss. At first, his name only popped up occasionally, nothing major. Fernando told the best joke at today's meeting, or Fernando's idea surprisingly saved the project. Normal stuff. But then it started to shift. She'd mention him in casual little comments that didn't seem like a big deal at the time but now stand out like a neon sign. Like the time we were talking about leadership styles and she said, "You should hear Fernando's take on leadership. It's really inspiring." Or when I teased her about corporate jargon, she snapped back, "Fernando says those words make a difference in building team cohesion." And she said it like she genuinely believed it. I remember joking, "Sounds like Fernando's your work husband." She froze for half a second, then gave a forced laugh and said, "Oh, don't say that, he's just a great mentor." Okay, that was weird, but I let it slide. I was on the couch, half watching a YouTube video on fixing the garage door, when she walked into the living room. She had that look, like she'd been holding something in for a long time and finally mustered the courage to let it out. "Everything okay? The girls? Your parents?" I asked, still a bit distracted, thinking it was just some random update. Yeah, everything's fine," she replied, shifting uncomfortably, like she knew she should stay still but couldn't. "It's just, I need to talk to you about something." That got my attention. I paused the video and looked at her. "Okay, go ahead." She sighed. "I think we should maybe try separating but still stay together, you know? Still married, but living in different houses, sharing custody of the girls. Some people do that, right?" I stared at her, waiting for her to laugh or say it was a joke, but she didn't. I even paused the repair tutorial because I thought I might be hallucinating from the cleaning products I'd used earlier. For context, everything seemed normal that morning. We had breakfast together, I helped get the girls ready for school, gave her a goodbye kiss. Normal routine, no fights, no tension, nothing. So this came out of nowhere. I asked for more details about what she meant and if this was some kind of open relationship and where she got the idea. Turns out she'd been spending a lot of time with her sister, Amanda. Amanda, a self-proclaimed expert in modern relationships, had been divorced 4 times. Yes, you heard that right, 4. And somehow, that made her think she was qualified to give marriage advice. I mean, wouldn't that make her more of an expert in failing at marriage? I tried to stay calm and honestly, I'm proud I managed to. I took a deep breath, put my phone down, and tried to have an adult conversation about it. I asked what led her to this, if I'd done something wrong, if there were issues I hadn't noticed, trying to be the mature, communicative husband, you know? But her response was insane. She sat there like she was discussing switching internet providers or something mundane. She said she needed space and time for personal growth, then started spewing a bunch of self-help phrases that Amanda had clearly fed her. She went on about how open relationships were the future of marriage and how many European couples did it, as if what works in Sweden should automatically work in our little American suburb. The part that really shocked me was when she had the audacity to say we could always go back to living together if it didn't work out. Like it was some social experiment from years ago, a Netflix reality show we could cancel if we didn't like it. As if it wasn't our marriage, our family. The whole time she was talking, all I could think about was the girls. Think about it for a second. How do you explain to a 7-year-old that her mom and dad aren't married anymore? I couldn't sleep that night. My mind wouldn't stop. I've never been the kind of guy who considers that kind of thing. Even when open relationships came up in conversations, usually as a joke, she'd always dismiss the idea, saying it was too much for her, rolling her eyes at couples trying modern stuff. So what changed? Was I not giving her what she wanted? Did I miss something? I racked my brain, replaying the last few months, trying to pinpoint the moment everything shifted. But I was sure she was happy. Lately, she'd been more reserved, more energetic, a bit more relaxed. And if I had to pinpoint when this started, it was when she got closer to Amanda. From then on, it was like I was living with a completely different version of her. I stood there staring at her like she was a stranger, as if the woman I'd spent the last 10 years with, the one I built a family with, wasn't the same person standing in front of me saying these things. Are you serious? My voice came out calmer than I expected, but inside I was burning with rage. She crossed her arms and took a deep breath, like she was gearing up to lecture me on maturity and modern relationships. Yes, I'm serious. I've thought about this a lot, and I really think it's the best thing for us. The best thing for us? How exactly? I asked. Did you just wake up today and decide you don't want to be married anymore? It wasn't out of nowhere. I've been thinking about it for months, she snapped, annoyed, like I was an idiot for not noticing sooner. I ran a hand over my face, trying to process what was happening. So while I was going about my life, you were secretly planning to get rid of me bit by bit. That's not it. I want us to still be a family, just in a different way. There's no need to be dramatic, she said. I let out a bitter laugh. Dramatic? Bianca, you're asking me to leave my own house, to only see my daughters when it's convenient for you, and you expect me to act like this is normal. She sighed impatiently. Raphael, please don't make this harder than it needs to be. I'm trying to be reasonable. That set me off. Reasonable? Forcing me to accept something I never wanted? That's not reasonable. She looked at me like she was tired of arguing. Look, Raphael, I wanted this to be a peaceful agreement, but if you're going to fight me, I can handle it another way. I took a step forward and crossed my arms. Another way? She held my gaze, her expression dead serious. If you don't agree, I can file for full custody of the girls. My heart stopped for a second. What? You heard me. If I want, I can argue it's better for them to stay with me. You work too much. You're barely home. I could easily get sole custody. I let out a bitter laugh. You wouldn't do that. Try me and see, she said, and I could tell she meant it. The woman I loved, the mother of my daughters, was willing to take them away from me just to get what she wanted. I swallowed hard, trying to stay calm. Okay, fine. This is about Fernando, isn't it? She blinked rapidly, caught off guard. What? Ever since you got close to him, you've changed. You've been more distant, colder with me. You want an open relationship? No, I don't want one. You do, or you already have someone in mind. She crossed her arms tighter. That's none of your business. I let out an incredulous laugh, shaking my head. None of my business? You're destroying our family, ending our marriage, threatening to take my daughters, and I can't even ask if there's another guy involved. You're paranoid, she said, rolling her eyes. I'm not. You're sleeping with him, aren't you? She sighed and looked away. I don't have to answer that. That was enough. I had my answer. I clenched my fists, trying to contain my anger. So that's it. You're making me look like an idiot, and you don't even have the decency to tell me the truth. Raphael, this is done. Either you accept it or we'll settle it in court. She was cornering me. I could fight, but I knew she'd make good on her threat. The truth is, I didn't want to take the risk. I swallowed my frustration. Fine, I said, my voice weaker than I wanted. I'll do it. She relaxed like she'd just won a battle. It'll be for the best. A week later I'd moved out. I rented a small apartment near the girls' school to make visits easier. I tried to convince myself it was the right thing, that I could still be a present father, but inside I was shattered. At first, Bianca acted like everything was normal. She'd text me about the girls' school schedules and events, but the facade crumbled quickly. It didn't take long to confirm she was with Fernando. At first, it was just suspicions, small details. The girls mentioned mom's friend coming over for dinner. Little comments that made me uneasy. But the final blow came through social media. She started posting pictures, smiling next to another man. Dinners, trips, moments that made it painfully obvious. And there he was, Fernando by her side with a smug grin, like he'd taken the life I'd built. Each post was like a punch to the gut. I tried to ignore it, to tell myself it wasn't worth suffering over, but it was humiliating. Everyone saw it, our friends, our family, even distant acquaintances. They all drew their own conclusions. I wanted to believe she'd at least have the decency to keep it discreet, but no, she didn't care. The worst part? The girls were caught in the middle. They didn't fully understand what was happening, but they knew something had changed. I had to smile and act like everything was fine when I saw them on weekends, pretending my life hadn't fallen apart in front of everyone. Inside, all I felt was rage. Rage at her. Rage at Fernando. Rage at myself for giving in. But one thing was clear, this wasn't over. I might have lost the battle, but the war was far from finished. I spent days obsessing over it, the humiliation, the hopelessness, the desperation. Every time I picked up my phone and saw another post of Bianca with Fernando, it was like another punch to the stomach. They weren't even trying to hide it. She wanted me to see it. She thought it would break me, and it was working. What? Because Bianca, who had always rejected this kind of thing, who said modern couples were just making excuses to cheat, had changed overnight. Then an idea hit me. Amanda. She was the turning point. Ever since Bianca started spending more time with her, everything fell apart. If anyone could explain what was going on in my wife's head, it was her sister. I had her number. I stared at my phone, hesitated for a few seconds, and finally sent the message. Amanda, I need to talk to you about Bianca. Can you come over tonight? She didn't reply right away. When she did, it was short and to the point. Okay, send me the address. I sent her the location and waited. Night fell, and around 8, Amanda showed up. I opened the door and she walked in like she owned the place. She glanced around the apartment. This is your new place, she said. Yeah, it's not fancy, but it works, I replied. I closed the door and got straight to the point. I want to understand what's going on in Bianca's head. Why did she do this? Why did she make this decision? Amanda raised an eyebrow and crossed her arms. Rafael, do you really think I forced Bianca to do anything? She's a grown woman. I just showed her a different way to view relationships. Lots of people do it. She made the choice. Don't give me that, Amanda, I snapped, my patience wearing thin. Bianca would never have thought of this on her own. She always criticized this kind of thing. Amanda sighed and sat on the couch. People change, Rafael. Maybe she realized she wanted more freedom. Maybe she needed a different kind of relationship. I let out a bitter laugh. Freedom? This isn't freedom. It's an excuse to cheat. Do you really think that's fair? She asked. I never gave her a reason to do this. I was never a bad husband. Amanda looked at me steadily. And she was never a bad wife. I felt the rage burning inside me. Wasn't she? Then explain why she's parading Fernando around like I never existed. She stayed silent for a few seconds. Look, I knew she'd do this. That's her problem. But maybe, Rafael, it's time for you to stop torturing yourself and move on. Move on? How? I asked, incredulous. Amanda gave a slight smile. You'll find a way. The conversation dragged on for hours. I still didn't feel like I had all the answers. I glanced out the window and noticed it was raining. Look, it's dangerous to go out this late, I muttered. Do you There's a spare room. You can stay here tonight. She looked at me for a few seconds like she was weighing my offer. All right, thanks. I grabbed an extra blanket and showed her to the guest room. Amanda settled in and I went to my room exhausted. I lay in bed, but my mind wouldn't shut off, still raging with frustration. In the middle of the night, I felt a light touch on my shoulder. I opened my eyes and saw her, Amanda, standing by my bed, wearing only the oversized t-shirt I'd lent her to sleep in. Her gaze was intense, determined. Amanda, what's wrong? I asked, still half asleep. She leaned in closer. I have a solution to your problem, she whispered. I frowned, still groggy. What are you talking about? She smiled faintly. Revenge. Bianca's with Fernando, right? So why don't you do the same? My breath caught. Amanda, this doesn't make sense. You think sleeping with you will change anything? She shrugged. Why not? Bianca embraced this lifestyle. Technically, there's no issue if you and I are together. I swallowed hard. Raphael, you deserve this. You deserve to feel like you're still in control. She sat on the bed next to me, her dark eyes locked on mine. Do you think Bianca feels guilty? Do you think she cared how you felt when you saw her with Fernando? I don't know, I admitted. Then why do you care? There was something in the way she spoke that hit me hard. I was tired of being humiliated. Bianca did what she wanted without looking back. I was still here, suffering, overthinking everything, while she lived her new life without a shred of guilt. Amanda slid her fingers across my face, tilting her chin toward mine. It makes sense, doesn't it? And then it happened. It was like a whirlwind of anger, desire, and the need to prove something to myself. I didn't think, I just let it happen. That night, all I wanted was to forget. Forget the pain, forget the humiliation, forget everything. And Amanda was there, willing to help me do just that. When morning came, she was still beside me. The room was silent, and for a moment, I felt an overwhelming weight in my chest. Oh, what the hell? I muttered, sitting up and running a hand over my face. Amanda woke up shortly after and looked at me with a satisfied smile. Feeling better? She asked. I didn't know how to answer. Part of me wanted to say yes, that I finally felt like I'd taken back some control. But another part knew this hadn't changed anything. What Bianca did still hurt. Amanda got up, grabbed her clothes, and gave me one last look before leaving. Now you get it, she said. The world keeps turning, Raphael. You can choose to stay stuck, suffering, or you can move forward. She left the room and I sat there on the bed, lost in my thoughts. Maybe Amanda was right. Maybe I'd spent too much time trying to understand Bianca, searching for answers that honestly didn't matter anymore. Maybe it was time to stop looking back. That morning, as Amanda left the apartment with a satisfied smile, I sat on the bed, lost in my own thoughts. I never thought I'd do something like this. I never imagined I'd find myself in the same situation that had infuriated me so much. But to my surprise, I didn't feel guilty. On the contrary, for the first time since Bianca destroyed me, I felt like I'd regained a bit of control. It was like I'd stopped being the victim and was finally playing the same game. In the days that followed, that idea kept circling in my head. I tried to convince myself it was a moment of weakness, something that happened on impulse, but deep down, I knew it wasn't. The more I thought about it, the more I liked the idea. So, a week later, I texted Amanda, "Got plans tonight?" She replied in minutes, "Nothing I can't cancel. What's on your mind?" I wrote back without hesitation, "Come over." And so it began, something I never would have imagined. An ongoing affair with Amanda, Bianca's sister. She came over more and more, and it became part of my new routine. At first, I tried to tell myself it was just a temporary distraction, but as the encounters grew more frequent, I realized I enjoyed being with her. Amanda was different from Bianca. She didn't demand anything, didn't pretend we had something more than what it was. Everything was simple. No drama, no fights. When I was with her, I didn't think about Bianca, Fernando, or anything else, just the present moment. But like everything that seems too good to last, it didn't take long for it to be discovered. I don't know exactly how Bianca found out. Maybe the girls said something without meaning to, maybe someone saw us together and told her, or maybe she just sensed it. But one day she showed up at my door, furious, her face red with anger, gripping her phone so tightly it looked like she might break it. "So this is it," she screamed, the most piercing scream I'd ever heard, without even waiting for me to fully open the door. "You're sleeping with Amanda?" I looked at her for a moment without saying anything. I didn't even bother denying it. "And if I am, so what?" I replied. Her eyes blazed with fury, but it wasn't just the anger of a betrayed wife, it was something deeper. "You're a damn bastard. How could you with my sister?" I crossed my arms, staying calm. "Funny. It wasn't a problem when you were sleeping with Fernando, was it? That was your new lifestyle. But now that I'm enjoying it, it's an issue." Her eyes widened in shock. "This is completely different." "Is it? What?" "Because, as I recall, you're the one who pushed for this modern nonsense. I'm just playing by the rules you set." She ran her hands through her hair, visibly shaken. "This can't go on. This has to stop. We can't keep up this madness." I let out a sarcastic laugh. "You only want it to stop because you lost control of the situation. When you fell for your boss, everything was fine. But when I do the same with someone you know, it doesn't work anymore. She's my sister. My own sister," she shouted. "Oh, now family ties matter?" I shot back, shaking my head. "Because, as I recall, you didn't think twice before destroying our family. So tell me, why the hell are you here? Why should I care?" She looked like she was about to explode, her eyes brimming with tears. "This was a mistake. It was all a mistake. We never should have done any of this." I crossed my arms. "And what do you propose?" She took a deep breath, trying to regain her composure. "Let's stop fighting. Let's be a family again. I know I messed up, I know what I did was wrong, but I want to fix it. I want to come back home." I stayed silent, processing her words. I should have said no. I should have told her to go to hell, to pay for everything she put me through. But at the same time, I thought about the girls. I thought about the life we once had together. I thought about how, despite all the anger I felt, a part of me still wanted that back. I let out a long sigh. "Fine. Let's try." And so we got back together. Today, Bianca is more dedicated, more present. She's trying to make up for the damage she caused, to be the wife I always wanted. She treats me like her priority now, like she doesn't want to lose what she almost lost. But if you think things went back to normal, you're wrong. Amanda hasn't been out of the picture, so she keeps coming to see me. The only difference is that now Bianca has no idea. And you know what's the worst part? I don't care. I don't feel guilty. I don't feel like a traitor. Because I learned from Bianca that in this game, the one who stays loyal is the one who loses. All I wanted was to be happy, and now, finally, I am.